It's really hard being someone who gets easily offended. When someone does something or says something that hurts our feelings, that we take personally, that makes us feel upset or angry or like there's something wrong with us, it feels like we have these big emotions that come up too easily and we can't just get over it. Even if sometimes we really want to, we don't want to let things affect us. We don't want to let things get to us. We want that water to roll off the duck's back and to just be able to take things in stride and move on and not let ourselves get easily upset by what someone else might be doing or saying. So if telling ourselves to just get over it or to not take it personally or to just not let it bother us isn't working, what are we going to do instead? In this talk, I'm going to teach you 5 ways to stop getting offended, stop taking things personally, stop getting easily upset, hurt, or wounded by what other people say and do so that we can build that emotional resilience, build that mental strength, and go through life not feeling like we are being tossed around emotionally by whatever somebody else is doing or saying, and we feel more solid and secure and sturdy within ourselves. But first, if you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. Take a second, introduce yourself in the comment section below. If you're back again, always good to have you. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. The button's about right down there. Like the video if you get something out of it. That would be amazing. And either way, my name is Kristina. I'm a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, a speaker, and an author, and the creator of my membership community, the Shift Society, where heart-centered humans are taking this work to the next level, being guided and supported the whole way through. Speaking of, I help heart-centered humans learn how to manage their minds and emotions so they can think better, feel better, and show up better every single day. And being easily offended makes it hard for us to show up as our best selves. When we are spending a lot of our time licking our wounds, feeling sad, feeling upset, or even the opposite, blaming other people for being mean or rude or difficult or inappropriate or disrespectful, going through either the blaming of others or coming down hard on ourselves for not being good enough or not meeting the mark or thinking that there's something wrong with us when someone does or says something that hits us the wrong way. It's not fun going through life like that. And I can tell you from my own personal experience as someone who used to get offended so easily, it feels terrible. So what do we do about it? The first thing, and this is going to be the biggest thing, and it's going to actually take the most work, but you are going to get the biggest bang for your mental wellness buck by doing this one. What you need to do is get clear and secure in your own thoughts about yourself. So often we outsource our sense of self to other people. What do we mean by that? Well, we are going with what other people think about us to decide how we think about us. And maybe somebody is having a bad day and they're taking it out on us and they're being rude or disrespectful or critical. And then we're thinking, well, oh my gosh, that means that there's something wrong with me, that I'm doing something wrong, that I'm not good enough, that I am deficient or incompetent in some way. And that is somebody else's thought that we are now taking as our own without actually first deciding what we think about us. Makes me think about my kids. So I have 3 small children, and sometimes they get at each other and they bug each other as siblings do. And just the other day, my son was mad at my daughter and he said, "Kalia, you're dumb." And first of all, we don't do name calling in this house, and there is definitely a talking to that happened after he said that. But Kalia came to me immediately. She said, "Mom, Everett called me dumb." And I said, "Man, that doesn't feel good, does it?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Are you dumb?" And she said, "No." And I said, okay, so that is Everett's thought, and you leave that with him because you know that you are not dumb, so you can just be sure of that and let him manage his own opinion because that's not your opinion about you. And really thinking about this, how I use this with my children, but how often those of us get offended and take it personally and someone has a thought about us. Maybe it's not so overtly as someone saying you're dumb, but they're, criticizing something, or they're making a passive aggressive comment, or they're picking apart one of your decisions. And you're taking that to mean I'm not good enough, I did something wrong, I'm a bad person, I don't have what it takes, I'm a failure. And you're outsourcing your opinion of yourself to someone else. And what we need to be doing is getting more clear on our own thoughts about ourselves. What do I know to be true about me? So that if someone has some feedback like, oh, that was stupid, I can really reflect and be like, am I stupid? I'm not going to think that I'm stupid. Maybe something that I did wasn't as thoughtful or as thought out as it could have been. But them thinking that I did something stupid or even that I am stupid, I'm not going to receive that because I know that it's not true. I know that I'm not an idiot. I know that I'm not a failure. I know that I'm not dumb. I know that I'm not incompetent or incapable or selfish or whatever that is that you are taking as somebody else's thought and adopting it unconsciously as your own. So what I want to invite you to do is start getting more clear on your own thoughts about yourself, learning how to trust yourself and who you are. And I have a download that's going to be really helpful for that. It's called The Simple Steps to Self-Trust, and that's going to help you get a lot more clear on who you are and why you are and what you stand for, and becoming more sturdy and solid within yourself. So get clear on your thoughts instead of so easily making yourself susceptible to the thoughts of others. The second thing is to think about the garbage truck analogy. Often there are people going through life with a lot of garbage in them. They may be walking around with a lot of pain, a lot of shame, a lot of anger, a lot of upset. You don't know what's going on with someone else. There's always a reason why someone acts out. This isn't to justify it, but to create that understanding that people are going through life with stuff inside of them, which is why they might react or overreact to something, why they might be unnecessarily rude or disrespectful or downright awful to you when it's unprovoked and seemingly really unreasonable. Know that people are carrying around a lot. People are carrying around tension. They're carrying around stuff that is happening at home, stuff that is happening with their family, stuff that is happening at work, and they haven't dealt with it. They haven't processed it. So they have this big ball of emotion that the smallest thing is going to cause them to react and overreact and kind of put that garbage on to you. And so thinking about that there is this garbage that someone might be just sort of dumping onto you that is actually not about you. And it's your job to just get out of the way and not get caught up in their mess, because it's not your mess. It's not yours to pick up and carry. A few weeks ago, we were having a family gathering at my house, and a bunch of my family was here, and my sister and I were having this conversation. And it was kind of a bit of a funny conversation. We were just sitting down and analyzing what makes some people have the cool factor. You remember those people in like high school, university, or even at the office who just seem to have this little bit of cool factor, or maybe a lot of the cool factor? And you can't really put your finger on what it is. So we were just sitting there talking about like, what is it that makes some people just have this like automatic cool factor? And someone else who was at my house was obviously getting triggered by this conversation, and they felt the need to express it. And so they're like, what a stupid conversation you girls are having. This is ridiculous. And initially, I was a little bit taken aback because I wasn't having the conversation with that person. It was my sister and I who were having it. I was a little bit taken aback and almost got offended. But then I realized that their words, their criticism had nothing to do with me. It was because something in them was getting triggered. And then I said to them, "Hey, it sounds like this has upset you. Are you okay? What's going on?" And I genuinely meant it. It wasn't like a passive aggressive or even an aggressive way of saying, "What's your problem? This is none of your business. Just stay out of it." I was genuinely curious because I had seen that they were upsetting themselves by our conversation and that it had nothing to do with me. So I could find that place of getting genuinely curious. They had their garbage that they were carrying, and in that moment, something triggered them to dump it on me and my sister. And instead of taking that garbage, I just kind of stepped out of the way and asked them why they were putting their garbage in front of me in the first place. And then the third thing we can do to keep ourselves from getting so easily offended is to take a step back and consider what the person is saying and deciding if there's anything helpful in that feedback. Even if it's coming across originally as being critical or judgmental or even just not very nice, having that emotional maturity to ask ourselves, is there anything helpful in that feedback? If the person is saying something like, "Oh, you're lazy," or "Oh, you're selfish," or "Oh, you're so difficult," or "Oh, you're too sensitive," being able to just take a step back and be like, okay, could there be any truth in that? Have I been overly reactive myself and taking things too personally and being too sensitive about stuff? And do I want to work on becoming a little bit more robust and managing my thoughts and emotions in a more effective way so that I'm not getting so easily upset by stuff? Or have I maybe been a little bit more selfish lately? And is that something that I need to be doing for myself right now because I've been running on empty and giving so much that now I need to take some time to be selfish? And I'm okay with that? Or maybe I've been doing it a little bit too much and not really considering at all how my choices are affecting someone else. So maybe I want to, again, be more considerate of others because I have been going too far the other way by only ever considering myself. So just kind of deciding, is there anything helpful in that? And if there truly isn't anything helpful, anything that we want to kind of take and reflect on and learn from, then we get to discern to give that back and be like, you know what? That is their thought. That is just a reaction that they're having. That is a trigger that was hit in them. That is their garbage that they are unloading. And I am just going to return those thoughts to sender. But learning how to be maturely discerning with that feedback, deciding what might be helpful in there to reflect on and what is just not helpful or useful, and returning it to sender. The next thing, simple, not always so easy, is choosing not to take offense. We have to take offense. Offense is not given to us. It's not put on us. We take offense. We decide what we want to make something mean. We decide whether or not your friend not calling you back or inviting you to something or texting you back means that they don't like you, they don't value you, they don't care about you, that they're not a very good friend. You get to decide whether or not you are going to make it mean that. You get to decide whether or not you getting passed over for a promotion means that your boss is terrible or that you are terrible and that you get all worked up about that. We get to decide what we are going to be offended about and take offense to. And this requires us to take a little bit of a step back and get curious. And our next one is simple, but not always so easy. And this one is to decide not to take the offense. Offense is not something that is put on us. It's something that we decide to take. We decide to make something that someone does or says mean something negative or bad or awful about us. We are going to offend ourselves with their words, their actions, or even their sideways glance. Remember what we talked about with the first one is getting a lot more clear on our own thoughts about ourselves. And when we are more clear about our thoughts about ourselves, then it's a lot more difficult for us to take that offense. We kind of just decide to leave that offense and go in a different direction because we have decided that we are not going to take that on as something terrible, awful, deficient, or inferior or incompetent about us. Which leads us beautifully into our fifth one. And this is to go a little deeper and get curious. When you are being offended, when you are taking offense to something, when you are feeling triggered, put off, upset, reactive to something that someone does or says, looking a little deeper and asking yourself, what wound is being irritated right now? What trigger is being poked? What vulnerability is being hit? Is this a reaction to a past pain, to a deeper kind of shame belief that I have about myself? Am I making this mean something derogatory or degrading or defeating about myself? Why? What's happening here? Taking that time to get curious about what is being triggered. And usually when we have a big emotional reaction to something that isn't necessarily that big, it means that we are not even actually reacting to what is happening in the present moment. We are reacting to a pain or a vulnerability or a hurt from the past. Getting curious is incredibly powerful to notice and to pay attention. What's happening right now? And if not really knowing what to do with big feelings when they come up, how to process them, how to understand them, how to regulate yourself through them so that you're not getting so upset and reactive so easily is something that you want to learn how to do, then I have the Sensitive Person's Guide to Handling Big Feelings. And that is a really comprehensive workshop, step-by-step guide on how to process your emotions mentally and physically in order to create a more grounded and regulated self, no matter whoever or whatever is going on around you. So you can have a look at that. The link is in the description below. Which one of these are you like, yep, that is what I'm going to start with? I can see how I am getting offended easily because I am doing this, and I am going to work on bringing more awareness and intention and attention to that. Let me know in the comments section below what connected with you, what created a shift, what are you going to go with from this talk? Get that Sensitive Person's Guide to Handling Big Feelings and or the Simple Steps to Self-Trust. Either of those are going to take what we talked about today to the next level on your healing and growth journey. Always good to have you here. Thanks for joining me for this one. And until next time, take good care of yourselves. Take good care of those around you. Bye for now.